Welcome back to The Casual Gamer. Today we are going to take a look at the current state of Bazzite on the Claw 8 AI+. At the creation of this video, Claw 8 AI Plus support in Bazzite is still in beta. Bazzite runs great on AMD handhelds, but how is performance on the Intel processor? For this, I changed the SSD and installed the latest version of Bazzite. And here we are in Steam. We have access to the quick settings menu, but TDP settings can be changed through the Bazzite menu. Here we have 3 presets, including Sport, which sets TDP to 30 watts. All games have been tested at 900p and are using the same settings. I have not optimized any of the settings for performance. We are just comparing performance between Bazzite and Windows 11. Up first is Alters, and in Bazzite we are getting around 30 frames per second with momentary dips into the 20s.
Emergency flare from my capsule. I should look out for those. Hello? Can you read me? This is Yandolski. I've landed safely, but I think my capsule went astray. Maybe the radio's broken.
Alters scored up to 20 frames more in Windows, while TDP was only set to 25 watts with the same settings.
Emergency flare from my capsule. I should look out for those. Hello? Can you read me? This is Yandolski. I've landed safely, but I think my capsule went astray. Maybe the radio's broken. Captain. Shit.
Up next is Cyberpunk 2077. Unfortunately, the sound on Bazzite stopped working at this point. For this test, I'm using the Steam Deck settings and selected XESS as upscaler. I overlaid the sound from the Windows benchmark. average of 45 frames per second with XESS set to quality. On Bazzite, we got an average of 45 frames per second with XESS set to quality. Up next is Windows.
Se recuerda a los propietarios de áreas de fuego que la ley prohíbe el uso de las mismas para sancionar por embotellamientos.
On Windows, we got an average frame rate of 59. The highest measured FPS was over 70 and the lowest around 46. In comparison, the highest measured FPS on Bazzite was in the 50s and lowest around 37. Next is Dead Space. From here on out, there won't be sound in any of the Bazzite tests. Unfortunately, I did not notice that the sound just completely stopped working after alters, and I did not restart in between the tests. The frame rate averages in the 40s, but we see some graphical glitches and moments where the game just completely seems to freeze. On Windows, the frame rate ranges between 50 to 70. The game stutters here as well, but it is less severe. Next is Death Stranding Director's Cut. The game runs flawlessly at around 40 to 50 frames per second under Bazzite. Under Windows, we get close to 60 frames per second at a resolution of 1600 by 900, utilizing XESS as our upscaler.
Safe travels. Weapons restrictions lifted.
Next is Elden Ring Shadow of Erdtree. And in Bazzite, we get around 30 frames per second, but it can dip below 30 from time to time. The game is running at 1440 by 900p. And here we have Elden Ring running under Windows. We are getting around 50 frames per second with dips into the 40s with high settings at 1440 by 900p. Next is Celeste Expedition 33. This is a pretty heavy game. And on Bazzite, we are getting around 30 frames per second with dips below 30. Clair Obscur scores around 40 to 50 frames per second on Windows.
Those lions. Be careful.
Get ready.
Feel the burn.
We are almost at the end with 2 more games to test. Up next is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But unfortunately, this game would just not launch on Bazzite. I tried different Proton layers, but without luck. So the final game I will test is Last of Us Part 2. It starts up with an error message, but we can just click on OK to launch the game. Last of Us Part 2 runs in the high 30s under Bazzite, close to 40. And here is Last of Us Part 2 on Windows. We are getting around 50 frames per second with some dips into the higher 40s. So after this test, I went back to Windows. Bazzite looks promising, but it obviously still has some ways to go. I hope Bazzite will continue to work on Claw 8A I+ support, but with most handhelds running on AMD, my expectations are limited. For now, I can't recommend making the jump to Bazzite. You'll be significantly missing out on performance, and not every game will run without issues at the moment. I guess we'll just have to give it a little bit more time and check back in a few months.
And that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Casual Gamer out.